Hello, Aquarius. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Star Tarot, second edition, by Kathy McLeland, if you're interested. Supportive Oracle cards are You Are Clairvoyant Oracle cards by Belinda Grace, illustrations by Elaine Marzin. The website rockpoolpublishing.com.au, A as in apple, U as an umbrella. Are we good? I think we're good. Yeah, because I showed the Kathy McLeland website in the bottom, so I think we are good. What do we have for Aquarius? I just did Libra, and the reason I'm mentioning them is because theirs had to be perfect and lined right up. Yours, on the other hand, is messy and all over the place. And it's kind of like, yeah, well, that's how I need it to be. That kind of makes sense for me with Aquarius when we're talking about getting the truth out of a situation. Because if things are messy and all over the place, people are more likely to expose themselves because they're not paying attention and they're not realizing, they're like letting out their own little secrets. What's happening? It is a mess, but I feel like what's going to happen is I gotta figure out what's going on with somebody. So, there's something I don't like here, and it's like I have to figure out what it is, and I have to take it, boil it down to like, what's the necessary evil here? What part of this? I don't. It's like somebody's doing something. I don't like it. I'm just like, no, I don't like that. That's not okay. But then I have to like look deeper, and I'm like, well, why are they doing it? Why are they doing that? Like, why? Because I feel like you're kind of annoyed, and you're just like, I just want them to stop. But like, it's kind of like, whoever this is, it's kind of like I gotta look deeper. Like, why are they doing that? Like, what is motivating them to make that happen? And when I get to the base of it, it's almost like, you know, somebody's like burning the candle at both ends. They're working 3 jobs. And I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, or maybe they're tired and something about them, like, why are they doing that? Why are they working 3 jobs? Why? It's kind of like, wait a minute. I don't think that's right. I don't think this is going to work. But it's kind of like, well, what's going on in their life? Why do they have all these bills? Why do they need to do these 3 jobs? Why do they have all these bills? What's going on? And it's almost like you're looking at it and you're like, okay, let me get closer and figure out what they're doing. And you're realizing they're spending too much money, maybe, we're just going to say. But some of it they can't get around, whatever it is. So you're like, well, they probably should change some of their circumstances, yes. But even then, there's still these jobs they're doing. It's like you're looking at these jobs and you're like, these jobs don't pay enough. That's why they have to do 3 jobs. If they had one job that paid really well, they'd be fine and they could just scale back a little bit. The way they're going, though, maybe if I can convince them to scale back a bit, they still need to upgrade. And at the very least, maybe they can get a couple better jobs, and instead of doing 3 jobs, maybe do 2 jobs that pay better. It's kind of like, I got to figure out what can go better here. It's kind of like it's like somebody's doing 3 jobs, and you're like, these jobs pay crap, though. So we need to kind of move them into like a better paying job, at least one, and then try to scale back on some other things so they can have a better life. It's kind of like, I don't like all this. This is ridiculous. They're just constantly working, and they're always sick because they're constantly working. Granted, that's just an analogy, but we got a lot of earth going on here. Even the prosperity to me says earth. So it does seem like for the majority of you, it will be a financial thing. It doesn't have to be. It's whatever you're dealing with. You know how that's going to work best. Because I feel like you're going to have to start with this person and kind of like, you have to get into their business and you have to tell them, like, listen, the way you're doing this is what you're doing, this is where you should be, we got to transition you over. They like the idea. This is a catch-22 with this because this is the challenge card. They like the idea, they believe you, but I feel like this is also a person that shoots themselves in the foot. It's kind of like, you know, when they see that hard test coming, they're like, ugh, I can't do that. And they just don't even bother showing up for it. So the first thing is kind of like, listen, study for it and show up for the test. Like, show up for the test. That's your first challenge with this person, is to, like, show up for the test. Like, if you're not even showing up, like, you obviously can't even, if you don't even take the test, there's no way you can pass the test. At least take it. And if you don't pass it, at least you'll know what your shortcomings were, and we can work on your shortcomings so you can try to take that test again. And if you fail it again, at least you'll improve in that. We'll see what else we got to work on, and we'll just keep trying and trying and improving until finally one day you will pass that test. I feel like this person, they give up before it even happens. Like, they don't even show up for the test, and it's like, oh my God, that's the most frustrating thing. It's kind of like, if you don't even try, well, if you don't even show up for the test, then you're automatically going to fail. If you at least show up for the test, you have a chance. If you don't show up, you don't have a chance. You have to show up to have at least a chance. So that might be the biggest hurdle, because I'm getting the Five of Pentacles with the meditation. There might be an erred way of thinking, and we got to get past that first. We got to convince them to at least try. Show up for the test. Got to show up for the test, because I got the Five of Pentacles here. But it's kind of like, it's like being stuck outside and not even knocking on the door. It's like, you got to at least knock on the door. If somebody won't answer, that's one thing. But if you're not even knocking on the door, like, you don't know. If you're freezing your butt off outside, knock on the door. At least knock on the door. There's no building here, but usually on this one there's a building. Yeah, error thinking, the meditation, like, they have to fix some of their thought patterns. I will also say, Paul McKenna, big fan of Paul McKenna. He has a lot of ways to help people change their thought patterns. You might find benefit for yourself or for explaining to other people. Paul McKenna, if you haven't heard of him, British author, you might want to check him out. He might be able to give you some tools to help other people or help yourself or change the landscape of some things, in case that's of any interest. Big fan of Paul McKenna, obviously. Because you got the ideas, you got the information. I mean, you do have the information, you got the ideas, you got the fire on your side, the Three of Wands, we need to change this. That's movement, but sometimes that's change, like, we need change. And you're like, come on, we need to make a quick change now. I mean, you got to start going in a different direction now, because this isn't good. You see it, you have the motivation, but now we got to get them with the motivation, because we got to make them realize with the Eight of Swords, it's like a trap card. People think they're trapped, but they're not. They do have a way to get out. They could fly out of the situation, but they don't see it. And it's hard to sometimes convince them of that. We have to get them past, like, show up for the test. You got to at least show up for the test. Granted, maybe you don't pass it the first time, but we learn from that. What did we fall short on? Then we try to make that better. Every time we take the test, we learn something more. We do a little better until finally we pass it. But if you're not even taking it, we can't pass it. Oy, drive me crazy. If you can get them on board with this to where they show up for the test, that's the best analogy I can get. And just keep that, talk to them about that. Hey, if you don't pass it the first time, you learn what you did wrong and you try again. And you keep improving. You just don't, you keep trying. If you can get them on board with that, it may be a slow and steady race to the end. But they will get better. This may be definitely a situation where we have to work at it over time. It's not going to be like we just take the test once and pass it. It may be we have to take it 5 or 7 times. 5 or 7 times. I don't know. But it will get better. They don't like taking the test. But it's also with the threshold. You gotta get them to take it once. And then you gotta get on them again and then help them through studying again. And then show them the improvement with the second. Because I feel like this might be one of the times where they have to take it 5 to 7 times. But they take it the first time, they fail it. You're like, all right, what did you fail? Let's look at it. What did you have a hard time with? All right, let's work on that. And then the second time around, if they fail it again, which probably, point out, like, okay, listen, you did really bad on the whole test the first time. This next time, look, you improved. You made noticeable improvement. All right, granted, not enough to pass it, but that's all right. We're going to do it a third time around. Let's go. Let's do it again. And then if they pass it the third time, great. great. But if they don't, then you do the same thing. You know what you're going to do. It might be quite the labor. Sooner or later, though, with your help, but I feel like they definitely need your help, they will finally transition out of this. They will transition forward. Your help will be well used, well utilized. That's simple. Okay. Like, what else do I need to make happen there? They're like, that's what you need. I just feel like it may get on your nerves. And almost like part of this is one of the reasons we want to show them, like, listen, from test 1 to test 2, you did make improvement. You might need to even show yourself, like, am I wasting my time here, or actually are they making improvement? And you might have to actually have that proof in front of yourself, like, let's talk it out. And then when you see where they're improving, you'll point it out to them, but you'll also be like, yeah, I guess this is worth it. You'll even be reiterating to yourself. You'll be showing yourself, like, yeah, this is getting better at least. I'm seeing improvement. Slow and steady wins the race. It does seem like it takes some time, but this is the hanged person card. Hanged person, the hanged one. It doesn't, you can't live here forever. We have to progress. As long as you keep progressing, and you got this Ace of Pentacles here, slow and steady wins the race. Sooner or later, we will get that seed to take root. It's just going to take us a while to get that seed to really take root. And once it really has a stable root base, it will grow and will be fine. It just may take a while. Like, a while. It's worth it, though. Seems to me like it's worth it. I also understand, like, you're definitely not going to do this unless the person's worth it to you. I get that. So, obviously, I mean, do what you got to do. But I feel like whatever this is, this bothers you enough that you want to see improvement. It's important enough to you to need this improvement. So you'll do what you need to do with it. They're just saying this is what it takes to make this happen. But I also feel like you might even get kind of bummed out. Like, we worked on that so hard and they failed the test. But when you're reviewing it with them, you're like, okay, they did do better. Okay, all right. And you gear them up to do it again. And then if they fail it a third time, you're like, but they're doing better every time. Sooner or later, they will pass. I just got to keep them going. And it might also get on your nerves, kind of like, we didn't come this far to give up. Like, you keep going. Like, I've put a lot of time and effort in this. I know we failed it a third time, but you're going to take the test again, and we're going to do better again. I feel like that might motivate you, actually, quite, especially with the fire going on here, the 2 and 3 of fire here. It's kind of like, oh no, I put too much effort into this. You're not backing down on me now. We're going to take that test again, and sooner or later, you're going to pass it. My grandmother was Aquarius, and she just seemed to have that attitude too. She would want you to pass it the first time, but if you didn't pass it the first time, oh no, we're not giving up. Put too much into this. You're going to keep going, and you're gonna do it one of these times. I just remember that from her. Anything else? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below with the same email. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.